Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. Teachers remained off the job for a second day this morning, despite instructions from the Minister of Education that all public sector schools should open today. Today's action again disrupted the education system, with more students staying home. More in this report.
Since yesterday, teachers have opted to go on a strike to register their dissatisfaction with the government's handling of wage negotiations. TVJ News spoke with Marva Guest, principal of a Spanish Town Primary School, who provided us with an update.
Today is worse than yesterday, in that no child turned up this morning. I heard, by the way, that 2 passed by but did not stop. They just came by, looked in, and went back home. But the teachers are here. 9 this morning instead of 10 yesterday.
Over in St. Elizabeth, some schools revealed that classes were suspended due to the absence of teachers. At others, a few students turned up, but there was no teaching. Of note, however, for those primary schools that were open, attention was given to those students preparing for the Grade 4 literacy and numeracy tests and the Grade 6 achievement test. Rashid Masters, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education says it has expanded its contingency plans with all officers and volunteers out in the field, providing support for the schools. A press release from the ministry highlighted that 4 tertiary institutions, the Catholic College of Mandeville, Northern Caribbean University, Caribbean Maritime University, and Sam Sharp Teachers College, have been added to have deployed student teachers to provide additional coverage. Amidst industrial action by teachers island-wide, the Grade 6 Achievement exams that is scheduled for March 22 and 23 will proceed as normal. That's according to Education Minister Ruel Reid, who was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica on Tuesday. The minister said exam preparations was already happening before the sick-out.
We're moving ahead. My instruction is to proceed. I think we're in the last week of preparation, and we still have Thursday and Friday and 3 more days next week. I think the students would have been far ahead in terms of preparations.
Despite the issue, there are teachers that have made arrangements to ensure students for GSAT, CSEC, and CAPE are prepared.
At the moment, we don't anticipate. We have no indication of any action next week, and GSAT actually will be next week Thursday and the Friday. And okay. I'm already moving to ensure that there would be enough contingencies in place to have those exams, even if they were to be an industrial action.
Meanwhile, there is some level of uncertainty from the government over the source of discontent with the nation's teachers. The uncertainty comes as teachers are in their second day of protest over the protracted wage negotiations with the government. But speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning, State Minister in the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, Favour Williams, said even though meetings have been held with Jamaican teachers, the JTA, that is Jamaica Teachers Association, the Finance Ministry is still unclear about the real issue.
Because I'm saying there are 2 different issues at play here now. The issue of the communication around the payment for this year that would have passed, and then you have the issue of a request for an increase in the allowance.
Right.
The government has said we cannot do it, because if we do it for the teachers, we would have to do it for all the public sector. That's an impossible task. So having given that clear position from the government's perspective on that particular issue, is it now, is it about the payment that's to be made this month? We're not sure.
She, however, noted that from the government standpoint, there is no disagreement on the percentage of increase on teachers' salary.
Well, the only thing we know of is that the teachers are requesting more on their books and software allowance. And we're saying it cannot be accommodated. One, because if we do that for the teachers, we'd have to do allowances for everyone else in the public sector.
Meanwhile, the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, has sought to explain educators' source of discontent with the government's latest wage offer. JTA President Georgia Waugh Richards spoke with TVJ News this morning.
The sticking points for the teachers of Jamaica is that there is a freeze in allowances, but there is one particular allowance, especially in light of the rollout of the national standards curriculum, that is deeply embedded in integration. And this allowance is called the book and software allowance. And so we're saying that's the only allowance that touches all teachers across the sector and is unique just to the teaching force. And therefore we're saying for teachers to feel any form of improvement in their earnings, we're asking if that could be looked at, that one allowance.
Additionally, Mrs. Wall Richards reiterated that the teachers are not in agreement with the 4-year cycle.
We're also saying, in light of the unpredictability of the rate of inflation, we think it will not be in our interest to tie ourselves into a 4-year contract period. And so we want to continue with the current 2-year contract period that now obtains.
And the government is now facing the possibility of coming under international legal scrutiny from the labor relations community. This is based on the controversy developing in wage negotiations with some public sector groups. TVJ's Jeline Pearson reports.
President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, JCTU, Helene Davis White, is threatening to report the government for breaching its legal obligations on the conventions of the International Labour Organization, ILO. This comes as the government is reportedly planning to make certain payments to teachers, although wage negotiations have not been completed. The payments will be based on the recently signed heads of agreement with other public sector trade unions. She warned that if things do not change, a report will be made.
This is not good industrial relation practice for an employer to go ahead and make payments outside of a signed heads of agreement. We are also of the view that the action is in contravention of the ILO convention having to do with collective bargaining, which is deemed to be a core convention of the ILO. Plus, there is a convention that speaks to collective bargaining in the public sector, and this is, to our mind, also in contravention of that convention having to do with collective bargaining in the public sector. As far as we are concerned, as a confederation, if the government does not relent, then we are going to be duty-bound to report the matter on the part of the government.
Mrs. Davis White says she has also written to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. If Jamaica is found to be in breach, it could be sanctioned by the United Nations and lose some privileges. Jeline Pearson, TVJ News.
And a bit of news just into our newsroom. An emergency conciliation meeting has been called in an effort to restore normalcy in the public sector schools. According to what we have here from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, it says the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has called an emergency conciliation meeting between the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. It also involves the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. It says this is in response to reports of industrial action by government-paid teachers island-wide. Now, the meeting is scheduled for this afternoon, March 13 at 2 p.m. And the meeting will address the situation right now between the government and the public sector teachers. So that's a meeting called an emergency meeting, conciliation meeting between the Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and the Jamaica Teachers Association for this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Hopefully that can restore normalcy to the education system. Now, the latest RGR Gleaner Group Don Anderson poll have caused the island's two main political parties to be taking a revised look at their political machinery. This as the poll revealed that both parties have been losing traction with the voting public. The details from TVJ's O'Shane Masters.
The People's National Party PNP is looking at strategies to help shore political support, with the latest RGR Gleaner Group Don Anderson poll showing it lagging behind the Jamaica Labour Party JLP. 26% of respondents said they would vote for the JLP, while 19% were in favour of the PNP. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson responded to the poll yesterday.
but I have to accept it's not where we would want to be. But I tell you the approach we're taking. We are selecting candidates at a very early stage so that we can put people in place, they can develop relationships, electors can get to know them. We are developing a set of policies that can act as an alternative to what exists. And we have had a number of the internal discussions, and we're going to take those out into the public domain and engage the public in that discussion. And we are using a data-driven approach to understanding what some of the issues affecting the perception of the parties and ensuring that whatever strategy that we adopt going forward is based on empirical data.
And the Jamaica Labour Party has also reacted to its showing in the hierarchy Don Anderson poll. General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang is predicting a further increase in the party's lead over the PNP.
I'm satisfied that we are of a comfortable distance between the DSP and the PNP. I think there are some voters still waiting to see the results of our programs, which they like, but the results are not yet fully impacted in the country. And given that we are coming from almost a 50-50 situation, one must remember we won the general election by a majority of some 3,000 or 4,000 votes. The same that the poll had us 50-50. I think we're 2 points behind, in fact, of this poll. We are now 7 points ahead. So if we follow that line, we have gained about 9 points in 2 years, which is a strong positive. And we are comfortable that as our programs take effect, we will widen that distance.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And we go now to news overseas. U.S. President Donald Trump announced Tuesday that he has fired Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and will nominate CIA Director Mike Pompeo to succeed him. This new decision to replace his top diplomat comes just ahead of a potential high-stakes sit-down between the U.S. president and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Understand, Abby, that the Secretary of State was informed of this on Friday.
That's right, John. Tillerson was informed while he was traveling in Africa. According to sources, he was told by the president that the president wanted him gone, and that coincided around the same time that we were learning that there were going to be negotiations or potentially a meeting with North Korea. A senior administration official telling CNN's Boris Sanchez that the president felt like with the North Korea negotiations on the horizon, it was a good time for a transition. Now, this Tillerson departure is something that we have been waiting for and perhaps expecting for several weeks now. Tillerson had told people that he might be only staying in the administration for about a year, and we were coming well up on that timeline. And beyond that, we know that there were persistent tensions between the president and his Secretary of State. They did not see eye to eye on a lot of issues, both on temperament and on policy. And Tillerson, even as recently as the last 24 hours, it was contradicting the White House when it comes to the issue of Russia. So we're seeing the president replace him with Mike Pompeo, the current CIA director, someone who has been has briefed the president in person virtually every day, in part because the president likes the way he is briefed by Pompeo. There's a lot of trust in that relationship, and in turn, Pompeo also has a lot of respect on the Hill. I think this partnership between the president and Pompeo is one that has only grown in the last several months, and so it seems very much a natural transition here.
We go down to news in sports. Kemal the Hitman Russell says he is in top shape as he prepares to defend his Junior North American Association Boxing Federation middleweight title against Mexican Michi Munozo on Friday night at the National Arena.
The hard-hitting Jamaican Kemal the Hitman Russell, who won the Junior NABF title in September 2017 with a TKO win over Ian Green in New York, says his preparation for the title defense has been great. Russell, who's had some good sparring sessions in the last 6 weeks in Jamaica, says the fight against 36-year-old Michi Munoz comes at the perfect time in his career.
This is the type of fight that I need. He is much experienced than me. I think he has 26 wins, about 6 losses. That's a lot of fights, right? So about over 30-something fights, right? So I only have 13, you know. So all the experience that he has, when I'm finished fighting him, it's supposed to gain some sort of experience from him, which is good, you know. We need that. We need this type of fight to grow as well. You know, it doesn't make sense you fight somebody mediocre, somebody who, you know what I mean, doesn't have the caliber as this guy.
The 28-year-old Jamaican who won the contender title in 2015 is calling on his Jamaican fans to come out and support him.
Skills there, mentally ready, physically ready, you know what I mean. And the whole Jamaica know that once Hitman is ready, I'm ready, you know what I mean? So, yeah, tune in. Tune in on TVJ at 9. Ready to go.
Russell's sparring partner, two-time contender champion, Sakima Mr. Smooth Mullings, will get another chance to showcase his skills, this time when he faces Guyana's Edmond Declos in a junior middleweight non-title clash over 8 rounds on the same fight card.
Feel good. It's a great opportunity after coming out the ring 2 weeks ago. Just look at it as a great opportunity to get right back into the ring and to and be supporting cast in a major title fight in Jamaica.
Mullings, who is moving up in weight division, promises to outclass the Guyanese, who defeated Kevin Bossboy Hilton in the Contender Series.
I'm familiar with my opponent, but I've never seen him fight before. I'm familiar with the fact that he's tall, rangy fighter. He's definitely the more physically bigger fighter than me. So with that, you know, with the minimal information that we have, we feel that we have enough to still come up with a game plan good enough to beat him.
There will be 4 other fights on the card, including a clash between Tetsilite South Davis and Christopher Pearson out of New York. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Keon Reyna.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.